Okay, it's GMTV show 178.
We're so silent.
Oh,
I'll be the first one to speak on GMTV.
There he is. Ed, you froze for a minute with your head down. I was thinking, has he gone to sleep? Is he okay? Yeah.
Oh, I'm freezing. That's not good. So how you guys doing?
good.
I've done a Nolman on my finger.
No, you didn't. What did you do?
I got it in ice. I rehearsed a single riff too many times last night.
Oh.
And after a while, I guess at a certain age, you can't do that anymore. So, yeah, but it sounds awesome. So,
well, okay. So yeah, Norman's out. Unfortunately, he's I don't know. Last I talked to him, he was doing okay with his finger, but today he said he couldn't make it. So I don't know what's happening with that. But he's recovering from his surgery on his finger, so hopefully that'll be good. He won't be able to play for a while, but I said, why don't you play the piano? Because he plays the piano. I said, why don't you play the piano? And he said, yeah, I could do that. I could play with my right hand. I could do like single finger chords because it's these guys that aren't working right. So he can still play. I mean, I could play with that,
He got the surgery yesterday or the day before?
No, it was a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because he talked about it in the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
no,
how long until he'll be like, back at bat again?
They cut you open, like, I don't know. So
yeah.
Hopefully he's okay and he'll be able to play soon. But, it's like, I don't know how, like, I get real tired playing my stupid ukulele, like, play that chord. It's like, how. But David Robinson, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Took a little hiatus for the show.
Ed, it's like it's almost like being addicted to some kind of narcotic or some kind of alcohol.
Jam TV, we are habit forming.
We don't have it. I miss it. I need it.
I know. That's the problem. That's the problem. Well, so I don't know if I told you guys, but like a friend of mine. All right. So did I tell you about the guy I met on the roof?
Up on the roof? No.
So I'm all right. So I have an old friend, right? A good friend of mine who I played in a band with for many, many years, and he was. This is 10 years ago, 15. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and he it was winter, and there was an ice dam on his roof. Damn ice dams. That, and it was. Then water formed, and it was coming in under the shingles and leaking in his house in February, right? So his brother came up, and he said, "Can you help me out? I got to do a patch or a roof." And we're like, "We're going to do your roof." So we redid the whole friggin' roof. We pulled it off. We put ice dam on. We're up there in February. It's cold. It's like in the 20s, and we're up on the roof. And I say to his brother, I said, "So what do you do for a living?" Like just shooting the breeze with the guy, helping you do the roof or freezing our asses off. And he goes, "Yeah, and I got out of the Navy whatever number of years ago and whatever. I'm doing Navy kind of stuff now." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. What did you do in the Navy?" And he said, "Oh, I was an XO on a nuclear aircraft carrier."
Navy
like,
stuff.
You were the executive officer on an yeah. So we became friendly, and like we're not buds, but I know him and I've seen him around since then, whatever. And so my friend calls me up. He says they're christening the latest Virginia class nuclear submarine, 150-yard long submarine, nuclear submarine in Groton at Electric Boat, where they make them. And so that they're not putting in the water. They do a christening exercise. So there's a variety of pomp and circumstance that happens with the Navy and with the government for, this is a $2.5 billion boat. and that's cheap. So what happened was, long story short, they made really expensive submarines like Seawolf and other classes of submarine, and they're like, no, we're spending too much money. You can't afford $10 billion per submarine. It's got to be cheaper. So they made the cheap one is the $2.5 billion Virginia class, pretty amazing piece of machinery, and we make 2 a year. We got 20 of them in service or something like that, and. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to the christening. I'm like, I want to go to the christening. He's like, I'll call my brother and see if I can get a ticket. I said, oh, your brother can get tickets? He goes, yeah, my brother is the Assistant Secretary of the Navy now. You mean the guy from the roof? You know, so we went and I did the christening. And it's, admirals and senators and governors and congressmen and a lot of fancy people and with a lot of decorated, a lot of medals and everything. It was very interesting to see it,
Wow. And then when do they put it into the water? Like in the middle of the night?
They do that soon. No, they do that soon. It's amazing what they do. So you're in this giant room. It's 2 football fields long. The room, the sub is 1.5 football fields, and you're in this building, like a 20-story ceiling or some giant ceiling, 10-story ceiling, and there's the boat, like right there with like American flags draped over all the like important bits, the stuff that they don't want you taking pictures of. They're like, put up a flag over that,
Yeah.
and so you're in this big room, and then they somehow put lots of cradles with wheels, like giant. It's heavy, They put a lot of stuff underneath it. They roll this thing out, and then they put it on a barge, and then the barge sinks.
Wow.
They pull the plug on the barge, and the barge goes glug, and then the submarine floats off, and then they pump all the water out of the barge. That's how they do it.
Wow. My God.
And so, that's what I did on my JMTV vacation. What did you do?
That's amazing.
It was pretty amazing. And what's particularly interesting, and I was thinking about this afterwards, like, we all know what it's like to have a gig, right? We take it for granted. We're like, yeah, so what? So you get your gear and you figure out what you need and you take a spare whatever and you put it in your car and you drive to the gig and you get there in time and you help them move the gear and then you play this gig and then but you had rehearsals first and there's a whole thing of how did you get the guys in the band and whatever. People that aren't musicians don't know that world at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like they don't know. They just the band appeared and the band played they're like, I don't know what. And if like if I go to Broadway and I watch how they do a Broadway show, it's like you see the Broadway show, but you don't know how it works and who's friends with who and how do you get the jobs and what union you're with. You don't know any of that. And one thing is for sure, none of us know what goes on in that very small family that builds and runs nuclear submarines.
Yeah.
And you got to be around a few hundred of those people and see how they talk to each other, little secret handshakes and everything. It's kind of cool to see how sausage is made a little, even though they don't let you in on it.
Yeah. They all have like a double top secret handshake that they use.
I'm sure they do. Like they don't say anything. And there's all these guys that walk around. There's like these 900-pound gorillas, these big guys. Big muscular guys with bulletproof vests on and lots of guns. And they're walking, but they look like they dress them up for the party. Like they're looking good, but they're like still armed to the teeth, these linebackers. And they're walking around and they're literally watching every person every second. You better not take a picture in the wrong direction or you better not, make the wrong move. It was kind of cool to see that. Anyway, so that's what I was doing while we had our little GMTV vacation.
Wow.
Anything exciting to report? You had any gigs or did anything?
I'm starting to line stuff up for the summer now, which is kind of cool because I didn't really do much last summer. So
right.
But I get to do Mayfair again for the third time, which is a big. Harvard Square is by Harvard. Which is sort of separate from the city, so it's sort of a tourist destination. And they have this May festival to try to draw business into the square, and they attract about 25,000 people, which the square usually has about maybe 2,000 people in it. And at the end of the day, I get to play in this big park across a big field covered with trees, and sun's coming down, and people are all lying out on the lawn, and it's very cool. It's my favorite gig every year. So that's the first gig I booked.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come up to Boston. No, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it on that day. It's super crowded.
They'll have. I think they have. 100 food vendors, 60 different beer brewers. It's so big and so well thought up that they have garbage trucks that are blocking off all of the intersections around for like a mile.
Right.
Because it's so many people, and it's so security.
That's exciting that you get to play for that kind of a crowd.
It is fun, but a lot of people don't realize doing festivals is very hard on the performer. Because things are very unpredictable.
Right.
You get there and it's like, oh no, you guys, we changed the time. You're on at 4, not at 3, or you're on right now. Or,
And usually the walk from wherever you have to park is like 100 miles.
Yeah, and you can't find where you're going to. Oh no, you're going the wrong way. You're actually over there, and you're on in like 15 minutes.
Right.
For me, I show up and there's the empty stage, and then there's a band playing in the street across the street from the stage,
right?
who are not authorized to play
this volume. Oh, really?
Yeah, and their volume's huge,
Really?
And I get into a battle of the bands that's like a battle of the bands.
Yeah.
Get the F out of here.
Right.
It's not a great way to start the day.
That's exciting that you got your summer booking. I got a couple of gigs booked, but I'm threatening to get back into it again this year. Play more, but we'll see how that works.
The world awaits Ed Train.
Exactly. Right.
David, I ran across your channel. I went out and hunted it down to see what you're doing after the last show when Ed mentioned, that you're doing tunes every day when he was asking how often do you guys do tunes. That was very cool what you're doing. I checked it out and listened to a couple of tunes, and the drumming along to the stuff that you were picking was very cool. I really liked it.
Thank you. Well, that's mighty kind of you, my brother. I'm the guy that breaks all the copyright rules,
So are they on your butt for that? Are they sending you messages or?
Lately it's been it hasn't been bad. They haven't been beating me up.
It's interesting because I'm not getting that for the show either.
Wow.
I went through periods where if somebody came on and played 3 chords of an Eagles tune, that was it.
Exactly.
Dave Robinson comes on. I'm like, hey, Dave, why don't you play a song on the air? And he's like, okay. And it's the Eagles. I remember you did that. It was the Eagles. And it was like, as we're broadcasting, boom, the copyright strike comes up on the screen. I'm like, oh, God, here we go.
Exactly. Handcuffed and taken away. That's right.
They're always threatening to delete your account or whatever. And
if you get 3 strikes.
They punished me by a few days here and there, back in the past,
But they've stopped. They've kind of stopped, haven't they? They've let up on some of that stuff.
Yes.
I think they're punishing me because what they say is that if you don't have the copyright but you play it anyway, then the owner reserves the right to run ads on top of your show or video or whatever.
Right.
And I've noticed that a lot of my videos, not a lot, but like a third of my videos, an ad pops up first, and it's like, what does this have to do with Charmin?
Yes.
It's like Wichita.
But that's
Lineman
great. That's great that they figured out how to do that. It's like if you're doing it. If you're doing it to make money, oh my God, it's terrible. But if you're doing it to get your art out there and your work out there,
right?
What do you care? Okay, glad you make the 5 cents for me playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely true.
Well, you must have gotten that all figured out now, and it's calming down. The world's copyright is calming down. So along those lines, why don't you do a song, break some copyrights, and let's see what happens.
Okay. You mean me or David?
You.
No, you will.
Okay. This is John Mayer's Heart of Life.
All right. Very nice.
Thank you.
Keep clapping, Dave. Keep clapping.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, I don't have my glasses on. I can't see the button to unmute Dave.
That's okay. I noticed I was muted, but I just keep clapping until I
until we can hear you.
He knows the drill. And Will's like, nobody's clapping.
I was thinking it seems really quiet out there. It's not a good sign.
That's a great song. So, are you still recording? Are you still making new ones?
I am. Yep, I am. Actually, the next tune I'm going to do is a new one, and I recorded a new one. Actually, 2 new ones last week, and 1 new one now. I have the first 8 bars recorded.
That's great.
So I'm starting to churn stuff out again. I'm getting that. Dave got me motivated. So, because you're cranking out like multiple tunes a day every day.
Cranks them out, he cranks them out. It's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm doing, what I'm doing is like 16 tracks of stuff, so I have to, give myself a break. But, and I've taken up online dating.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
How terrible is that?
It spawned 3 songs, so it can't be that bad, I suppose. But they're all like,
you are the Taylor Swift of online dating.
They're all in the minor key. I can tell you that much. Yeah, they're all in a minor key.
Come on, Will. Are you kissing and telling?
I'll kiss and tell. Yeah, it's because I haven't gotten to kiss anybody yet. So
there
I'll
you go.
tell.
I don't know. Lower your expectations. Happiness is expectations over reality. Like lower your expectations.
Well,
all I can say is based on online profiles. All
right.
women over the age of 55 love to travel, hike, and then fill in 3 active things like Pilates, yoga, biking, etc. And then they adore their wonderful children, and then the rest is kind of I'm looking for a partner for my life. So I go out and I meet this one woman who we both really hit it off. I mean,
wow.
Like just things, it's just very easy, very relaxed. Talk for an hour and a half.
Right.
It's on video. These days you don't have to meet face to face.
Okay.
Passing the ring is a little hard, but otherwise you can do it by video. And at the end I go, I gotta mention that there's. I would love to start traveling and with a companion, and you'd be great. I think that would be terrific. But I have to mention, I right now I don't have a really active lifestyle. I'm working on fixing up a back injury. That makes it a little hard to do some of the other things that you really want to do together. Suddenly the screen kind of goes from color to black and white. It's like the Witch of the Oz gone backwards.
Yeah.
And it's like that moment in. You remember the old ad? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
Oh yeah, right.
It was like that. I was like expecting the screen of the TV or of the computer to crackle. So, needless to say, that one didn't work out.
Oh, no.
So
reduce your expectations. Reduce your expectations.
Yes, and disclose a little less early, and maybe select a little bit more intelligently.
I wouldn't do well because I have a snarky sense of humor. Nobody likes that, especially if they don't know you. If they like it, they'll tolerate you, but if they don't know you, don't come out of the gate with that.
That's my God. I mean, I've already said, I've already said so many wrong things because I'm in the same way. You know me. I blurt out whatever, and in some settings like this,
go out to Harvard Square and meet chicks there. That's how my recommendation.
I can't get into the photographs. That's like a whole nother category.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Well, you're a better man than both of us to be able to pull that off. It's brave.
See, I may come back with both my hands cut off and be like, "Hi guys," big bandages. Can't play this week.
Wow, that's pretty brave.
You have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a princess.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like an insult, but it's not what I meant.
Oh my God. Well, see, okay. So this is a true story. It's going to be another crazy Ed Train story, right? So, I actually independently invented online dating. Okay.
Ah.
So I was running a .com. I used to be a business guy, right? So I was running a .com. And I'm talking about the early 90s. In the early 90s. No, we started it in the 94, and we sold it to GE in like 99. Right, so we'd been running it as an in-house unit at a company, a finance company, and it was a computer system to connect banks with car dealers for doing car loans. So when you when you go into CarMax and they type your information into the screen and then boop, you're approved and here's your car, right? So we built the first ever one of those. It used to be like you fill out an application on a piece of paper and you put it in a fax machine and it goes to a central office and they enter the data and then the underwriter gets the file and it takes a day and a half and now you could do it instantly, whatever. And so we built that system, and when we sold it to GE, they said, well, you're not allowed to compete with us in the auto finance industry anymore, but you can use your software for other things. So I'm sitting around like, what else could we do? And I was the CEO, and I had a partner who was the chief technology officer and operations guy who wrote all the code and did all that. And we've been together for years, and so I was like, we need to retool our software and sell it to a different industry. And it wasn't like Silicon Valley was only just getting going and nothing was crazy in those days. And so long story short, I knew somebody who was running a thing called Great Expectations dating services. I don't know if you guys remember Great Expectations.
I remember. Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
They would send you a postcard and you get it in the mail and it'd be like, are you lonely? Do you want to meet somebody? Well, come down to Great Expectations and, meet the love of your life. So you take the postcard and you call the number and you go down to your local Great Expectations, one in Stanford, and they make a video of you saying, hi, I'm Will Baird and I play the guitar, whatever it is, right? And then they take photos of you and they put this in the video and the photos in an envelope they make a profile for you. And then the other members can go and like in a library and pull oh, let me see. Oh, look at you. You look interesting. They can look at you and then they will hook the date up for you. And this is video dating for years and years. It cost $2,500 of 19.
That was a lot of money back then.
$1,995, $2,500 to join this thing. And the idea was you're not going to spend the money if you're not serious.
Yeah,
and you only get a year, $2,500. So you can go through the library, go through all the people, but you know that everybody spent $2,500, so they're serious about it, and you could get dates. And I said to my partner, I said, Doug, why don't we, instead of doing car loans, why don't we put a profile and pictures and even videos? Why don't we put that on the screen and people can look? And he said to me, I pitched it to him, and he said, no woman will ever meet a man from the internet. And we thought about it for like weeks, and I was like, no, we got to do this thing. And I needed him because he had to put some sweat into this to make it happen. And he was like, no one will ever. So now when I see him, like Match.com sold for $40 billion or whatever, I see Doug, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Do you still think that? Yeah. Well, it is true. Women are very safety conscious still, for good reason.
Okay.
But,
you're terrifying. Well, you are just. They need to keep the women safe from you. You know?
If anyone was clearly a creep, it would be me. I met someone for coffee in a it was a basement deli, right? In a basement deli, right? And it was about 10 degrees out. This was a month or two ago. Wind is blowing. It's cold as hell. And we both sort of say, we've really hit it off. It seems like a nice start, and I said, look, I know I know that she's got a mile walk to the bus station, then a bus ride, and then a mile walk home. We've talked, that's how well we've gotten to know one another, right?
Right.
So I say, look, I know that we barely know each other, but I'd feel like a jerk if I didn't offer. Would you like me to give you a ride home? And naturally, she, said, no, of course not, but I felt like I had to, it would just be a jerk to go like, okay, so long, hope you don't freeze to death and wind up like in a snowdrift somewhere,
It's not like you wore the white shirt with like the bloody handprint on the shoulder or something,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Carrying a chainsaw to the date,
Yeah. Well, and then the way we left it was I said, you want to get together again? And she said, let me think about it, which means no. And I got a quick message when I got home saying, it was really great to meet you. I really liked you, Will, and you seem like a great guy, but I just didn't feel that spark. And I thought, we met in a basement deli.
I'm thinking about Inglourious Bastards, the movie where they're like, don't fight in a basement. Never fight in a basement.
It's like, you think you're going to have a fucking spark in a basement deli? I mean, come on, I will take you out to dinner. We'll dress up. We'll go somewhere romantic. We'll drink a glass of wine, and then see if you have a spark. Okay, but
Save your
don't
money.
do it in a basement deli.
Oh my God!
Needless to say, I kept my mouth shut. But
there you go. You're a bigger man than I am, Wilbur. Play a song. Play us a song.
Okay. Well,
save yourself.
I'm on fire here.
Very nice.
All right, some boss.
It was good. Hey, Nick Carter.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Hey, Nick.
That was great, Will.
Hey, Will, that was great.
Thank you very much. That was the new one. That was that's what you get for meeting a woman in a basement deli. I'm on fire.
Indigestion.
All right, I like that idea.
That's what you get. Exactly. So how you doing, Nick Carter? What's going on?
Well, I'm doing fine, thank you. I've been, I guess I've been away a little bit. Spent time in Arizona with a new grandson.
You look good. You look relaxed,
Yeah.
and
Think about that.
Well, I'm in that cardiac rehab. I think I told you guys to get the cardiac calcium.
Okay.
Because I love you all and I want you all around. So
There you go.
Vice versa. Yeah.
good cardiac stuff. But anyway,
So
I've been doing the regime, the rehab, and doing some running in between.
Good.
So anyway.
So Nick, does this mean that they're actually able to reduce the amount of calcium plaque in our veins or in our arteries?
Yes. Well, there's a couple of things, Will. Yes. The answer is the method they used on me took care of some of that, just like you said. there was blockage, and they put a stent in. They did two
Good.
stents, two arteries. And I asked the surgeon when it was over, I said, so my blockage was 80%. What is it now? And he said, where the stents are located, your blockage is now 0.
That's good.
Yeah, they're very
And
effective.
one thing I don't know, I do take some heavy duty statins and all that stuff. But what I don't know is how well that dissolves. I guess it's pretty good. If you take a good statin, it's pretty good at preventing anything from coming back,
Right.
or from accumulating. But as for what may already be there, I don't know if it dissolves it.
This is way above my pay grade.
I know, man.
What it does is they basically use a little balloon. It's called angioplasty. This is
Okay.
Mr. Emergency Medical Technician here.
Oh, right.
Okay.
They put a little balloon in the area that's getting blocked, and they blow it up, and then they take a little metal thing called a stent, which is like a net
Right.
almost, and they stick it in the area that they blew up, and that's there. So it's like. That's not going to,
It's what I do before every show. I put a balloon in my ear and I inflate my head a little bit.
That's right.
Makes
Ow,
for better
ow.
television,
Well, no wonder. That explains it, Ed. That explains
That's it. My head needs to be a little bigger for this show tonight.
Very good.
So unbelievable. So so good. You've been in Arizona. Where do you go in Arizona, by the way? Just
Oh
curious.
yeah, to Scottsdale.
Nice. Yeah, I think you've said that before. My mother
Yeah.
lived in Scottsdale, and then she moved up to Payson. You ever go up to Payson, Arizona?
No, but I know of it.
It's north, an hour and a half north of Phoenix or whatever. It's up on the it's not up on the Mogollon Rim, but it's up that way. And so it's at high altitude. So in the winter it gets cold. You can even get snow up there, and it's
Nice.
much cooler. And so I spent a lot of time in Arizona. So maybe I'll see you out in Arizona one of these days.
Well, yeah, they're there. They're going to be there a while. And so yeah, all's good. I'm going into the studio the next 2 weeks. New batch of song going to get recorded.
Cool.
So a new album out sometime later this summer.
Where are you doing that? Where are you doing that record?
I'm doing that record up same place that I did the Fountain Pen project at a place called Ghost Hit Recording
All right.
in Springfield, Mass.
Very nice.
And it's really it's an impressive little. It's not actually very little. The young man and his wife repurposed this church.
Oh,
And
nice.
A church. Wow.
They got a sort of a historical site grant from either from the state of Massachusetts or from Springfield,
Right.
Springfield, as a part of a community revitalization over the recent years, and it's a church, and it's gorgeous. It's like a sanctuary, when people go into church. Well, this place has now been repurposed as a recording studio,
That's great.
and
Do they take advantage of the acoustics of the room?
yes, they do. Oh yeah.
Wow.
We
They
did
must
some
have all
stuff
sorts of.
from the last project and kind of stood out in the sanctuary and let that reverb,
Yeah.
that
The
natural
natural-
acoustic stuff. Exactly.
I've
Do
done
they
that
do-
on a project before. I wanted a really good reverb, and they make great fake reverb now. I mean,
do
you
they
can
ever?
get amazing, reverbs. But I wanted to get a real. There's nothing like the real reverb of sound. So I actually brought some studio monitors into a church at my old high school, and a recorder, and I put the recorder back 40 feet or something, and I recorded the room sound on that track, and then brought
Nice.
that back into the studio. So it's nothing like a real building with rock.
I never really thought about that's what reverb is supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I think of it as a knob, that goes to 11. It's all.
Well, no, exactly right. Exactly. Wet and dry. Wet and
That's
dry.
so, all new songs for this record.
Sorry, Ed, you're breaking up.
All new songs for your record.
Yes. There's one that I never made on. There's one that never made it on to the fountain pen that was released that you've heard before, and I've revised it. It's called "Old Fashioned Girl," and that's probably the one that's been around a bit of time. That's been
Right.
Yeah, you played it on the show, I think.
I played
I've
it.
heard
I
that
remember
song. Yeah,
hearing-
sure.
Yeah, I'll probably play it tonight if there's time. It's
Nice.
and I've revived it. And I've revised it. It's not the same thing. And then I got a couple. Yes, and everything else is new. One cover, and the cover I'm working on. Not sure yet. I've got to get clearance on it, mechanical licenses. But the one I'm thinking of is It's called "Living on the Thin Line" by the Kings.
Nice title.
And this album has a few, it's not. I guess to suffice it to say, there's a couple of sort of quasi protest songs on the album.
Right.
Topical. Well, I think a better way to put it is just they're topical.
What are you protesting against this time?
Well, I'm protesting against global warming.
Okay.
All right. And then there's another one called, which I'm not sure I've played it. It's called "Standing by the Fire." And basically, it looks around, and I'll play that for you. I'm happy to put it out there. It basically looks around at the troubles going on, and it just, I think, speaks pretty well, without trying to point real fingers at anybody in particular. In other words, there's no one by name. I had people, when I first did drafts of it, David, I had names in there.
Right. Right.
And I don't want to offend anybody's politics tonight, but
right.
From my point of view, I had some names in there that I thought,
take the names out, offend everybody. That's what I say.
Right. And so the names are out, but and if, who knows, it might piss some people off, but so be it.
There you go. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Now, is this, and does this studio primarily do, like, they lean towards acoustic musicians, or do they do everything?
That's a good question. I think he's capable of doing anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they must have rooms. They must have vocal booths and drum booths,
they do.
So you can. That's really cool.
There's a big room, a large room where you can really get that church feel.
Right.
To Ed's point, but then if you walk out of the control booth and walk around it, as you walk into the big room, on your left are 1, 2, 3, or 4, separate booths.
Right.
The four of us could have our own booth. Very easily.
That's cool. And there's something about a studio that's not just the gear, but it's about the feeling of the room, you go there and you get into a vibe, and the people and the whole mood, the mood that's created by the space and the people.
Absolutely right.
So that's very exciting. That's
the biggest lesson. The biggest lesson I ever learned that I didn't realize until now. Having gone into studios where I had like this total cold, response to it, and other studios where I felt like, I feel like, relaxing on the couch here. And
the rooms have personalities. People go and record at, famous studios, and because they're like, Jimi Hendrix was here back in the day, and I'm standing in the sacred ground and all that.
Yeah, no, it's this is a very nice place. There's a lot of places to sit and listen. Even in the big room, there's couches and sort of parlor areas, a high ceiling. And it'll be fun. I mean, this is going to be more to your question, Will. You could do any kind of sound in there. I'm going to be doing, I think this project, well, I say, I think, I know, because I want it this way.
Right.
It's going to be more acoustic stuff. I mean, more like this, and, very light percussion. I mean, very light, very way back in the room,
right,
kind of thing, because I don't know. I just want this to be, a sample of songs that when it's done, you listen to the sample on the web or on a CD or whatever,
right,
and then you say, all right, let's get that bastard in here and sing for us live and see if he can sound as good as his record, right? And I aim to make sure that what I bring to your studio,
right,
what I bring to your living room,
right,
alone, will match whatever attracted you to this album in the first place.
That's great.
So we'll see. When you did your last album, Nick, did you do like the folk circuit? Like, did you do any of the festivals, or did you?
I did. And because this is, I don't really relish the idea of trying to tell anybody I'm new to this, but I had 30 years in another career, and so I'm doing this. Yes, I did. Well, I took it to Folk Alliance. I took it to Southeast Regional Folk Alliance. I will be taking both albums. This one will be done by the time I go to NERFA this fall. So I am going to do that. And it's I think in my case, I'm optimistic that eventually I'll make my way into some of these venues that right now don't necessarily know exactly who I am.
Yeah, it's a matter of, I found it was a matter of time. Like I went there and I was pissed off because I felt like, well, I used to be somebody and now I've come back and you should know that I used to be somebody and that, and I wound up going into the merchandise booth at one point and seeing that the people who were up there who I thought I was better than had been doing it for like 10 years, well, not 10, but like they had 3 CDs out, and I had like 1 EP,
I understand.
But,
Well, to your point, it takes getting used to. I mean, my producer is Seth Clear. He's exceptional. But to put it in perspective, he's been at this probably 20 plus years. Okay, 20 years.
Right.
He's in his 30s.
Right.
And he quit college to go do this. The guy is, he made, different styles for different people, If you look up Seth Clear and look at his music may or may not resonate with you, But this kid, I say kid, he's practically a mentor to me.
Right.
But and we're peers. I really don't think it's right to call him a kid in this case at all.
Right.
But I mean, he has carte blanche to go to Kerrville.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around long enough and he's good enough that the folks who run Kerrville have given him an open invitation anytime he wants to come down and be a featured performer.
That's great.
You Seth, you let us know when you want to come.
Yeah. These festivals are most of them except for NERFA are out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
On like
Kansas City. Folk Alliance is Kansas City. Surfa.
Yeah,
which
Falcon Ridge. Falcon Ridge is it's a ridge that has falcons. I mean, it's a real and the festival almost didn't start one year because there was a rainstorm and the road was a dirt road to get out there. Right. It was 5 miles long, and all the people in their RVs. Everyone camps out, so you have like 5,000 people camping on the hillside. And it's wild. And then they set up in the middle of nowhere. They set up all the sound gear and stages, and it's wild. It's real. And then a couple of days later, the place is empty, and it's just crickets.
cows and crickets again.
Yeah. NERFA is different. The New England Regional Folk Alliance, I think, if I remember right.
Exactly.
I don't know how they do it.
Northeast Regional.
When I was doing it, the way they did it was they took the Stamford Sheraton, and they booked the entire hotel a year ahead of time.
Wow.
Every single room. And they'd have a main stage. They'd have a bunch of like large function rooms that would be smaller stages, and those were people who were chosen. You were the chosen ones.
Right.
And then they had the late night stages, which were the rooms. People would take the mattresses in the rooms, they'd tilt them up on the side, they'd somehow get stuff out of there, and there would literally be, you just go from room to room, and there would be 100, 150 acts, that were playing, and they were like cycling through every 30 minutes. And you kind of go like, oh my God, there's a million other competitors I didn't even realize were here.
Folk Alliance in Kansas City last winter. I didn't go this year because we were in Arizona, but Folk Alliance last year was in a very big place in Kansas City. It's in the same place every year there, and there are official showcases. And I haven't done one of those yet, but I've done the late night gorillas, they call them, gorilla showcase.
Yes, that's it. That was the name of it.
And you
gorilla showcases.
You go to you sign up long before. I mean, I was signing up in November, December of 2022 for an event that's February 2023.
Yeah, you had to know who to sign up with.
And I knew who to ask about. I tracked a few people down. And so they were gracious, and I went and played, and it was fun. And the same thing happened at Surfa last year. You sign up, and sometimes if you're lucky that you get the gorilla showcase that's 11:55 p.m. or if you're not so lucky, you got the last one at 2:05 a.m.
Yikes.
Yeah. Oh, they were much later than that. I mean, at least at the NERFA one that I went to, I went home because I was living in Norwalk. So I was okay, I've checked this out, but I'm an old guy. I'm not going to stay up all night. So I went home at like midnight, and I came back at 8 a.m., and the place is empty. There's just like the guy behind the desk, And I said, where is everybody? And he said, they're all asleep. They they stay up all night, these folk people, you know.
That's right.
And I said, well, where can I get a cup of coffee? And he said, not here. I said, what do you mean? And he said, we were told not to make any coffee until 10 o'clock. That's, you know,
I believe it.
There's a budget, you know, I guess that they've got. So I was like, there it is, 8 o'clock. I got 2 hours to kill, you know, and go find a cup of coffee. It was because all these people are asleep upstairs in their ripped up rooms from playing music.
Yeah, I think you got to take on a certain perspective, because I mean, there's friends of mine who've been doing this there now, and they've all been at it for a very long time, and they're all a lot younger than I am.
Yeah,
and they've been at this, you know, a long time. So they're established, you know.
Yep. Yeah, when I saw at one of the festivals, when I saw someone standing next to his car, all the musicians had their cars over in a different lot, and the guy is standing next to his car in his underwear putting on deodorant, and I thought, that's a life I don't really want to live.
There it is.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
there's another guy with his feet sticking out the window of the car with no shoes on, asleep, you know. It's just like, and they're going to stay at a hotel. We don't have any hotels out here. It's Falcon Ridge.
Yeah, Falcon Ridge haven't done it yet. I may do it this year. We'll see.
That's great. Well, Will Baird, why don't you do one more song for us, and then we'll have Nick come on. You can get your guitar tuned up in the meantime, and
let's hear Will. Love to hear it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll go with something chill.
Very nice. Very nice.
Beautiful, Will. And the answer is, I will still love you tomorrow.
Man.
That's right. We'll love you still tomorrow, Will.
I've said that before, but I meant it in a different way.
I've never been sure, you know.
I mean it.
I'll love you. I'll say I love you later. I'll say I love you tomorrow.
You still love me.
Once we get out of the basement
later.
deli, then I'll tell you that I. Other than that, I'm not. No.
Great.
Not going there.
Will you still love me later? Sounds like something the Ruddles would do or
I
something.
love you a long time.
It's a softer version of Paradise by the Dashboard Light, basically.
Right. That's right.
It's like the stage step 2,
The
chapter
nice
2.
version, yeah.
Yeah, the epilogue.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. There's other things we could. You can just imagine the imagery we can develop. Just the imagery that we can imagine with that.
Oh my God! No, that sounds great. Sounds great, Will.
Nice job, Will.
Is that a new one for you?
No, I've had that one for a while. I don't play it on the show very often.
Right.
I still remember the only other time I played it.
Yeah.
Dennis leaning in, when that first note, he was like, "What is that?" Oh,
What
I know
is
what that
that?
is.
Yeah.
it was kind of funny.
I like the choice you made. You kind of kept it going into sort of major seventh range instead of that, right? That major third.
Right. Yeah.
I like what you did. I mean, I like the major third, but I heard it and I said, oh, okay, an interesting statement, quoting a slighter, how would I say, a little sweeter combination.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was listening. Yeah, the band I used to be in used to call me the music librarian prick. because
It's all good until
because I remembered everything about every cover song that we ever did. I
Right.
said, no, it doesn't go that way, goddammit.
Right,
It goes
right,
this way. So, and I don't like to use the word Nazi, but I was a
There you
son of a
go.
bitch. I was an asshole about it.
right.
And I
That's
did it
really
willingly.
fun. You always need that guy. I mean, I've told this story on the air before, but I was in a rehearsal once and we were doing Steely Dan tune Peg, and
Yeah, sure.
we get to a place on Peg, and I'm playing like that Rhodes electric piano part, and the drummer leans over and he goes, he said, "Are you playing the dominant 7 on the top or the bottom?" And I'm like, I don't even understand the question. Like, what? And then I'm like, wait. I'm like, I got my my keyboard, and I'm like,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, so this is the chord, and I'm like, that's the 5, and that's the 3 factor, and then I'm playing it on the bottom, right? And he's like, I'm playing it on the top. I said, he's like, you're supposed to play it on the bottom, and I'm like, oh God. So I'm like, that means I play a different. Oh,
I don't know
and
how
then
to-
I played it. And I was like, asshole, he's right. Like,
Damn you.
how dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, I used to say, if you're going to be a cover band, then play the cover.
You have to cover my
I could never figure out why it didn't
I like what
quite
you did,
sound
Will.
like the record,
yeah.
That's why I hate playing. I actually hate playing Steely Dan. I've also said that. I love Steely Dan. I love them. I love their music. I love everything. I just hate playing Steely Dan myself because you can only do it wrong. Like if you're reading the scriptures in church on Sunday morning and you're the freaking deacon or whatever, and you're like, I'm reading the scripture. All you can do is flub it. If you do it right, okay.
Right.
But
Right.
if it's like. You say the wrong word, now you suck. That's Steely Dan to me.
Yeah, right.
Play the dominant 7 on the top, and you're an idiot. Like, oh God,
Yeah.
I'm an idiot now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I prefer Occam's razor. The simplest solution is the best solution.
There you go.
Right.
I don't know. You listen to me for 3 hours and you might not agree.
Right. But my mother used to knit, right? She would knit and she would crochet and whatever. My grandmother would crochet. My mother would mostly knit. And she would knit blankets. Like, she's not knitting a hat. Like, she would do hats and socks and blankets. Everybody
Yeah.
I know's got
It's like
socks for my mom. But she would knit
volume.
like a king-size bed blanket. And you better not purl when you're supposed to whatever, because
Right.
in the blanket there'll be a in the middle of it. And everything has got to be perfect and the right tension and the right everything. And to me, that's what a lot of Steely Dan and a lot of music is like jazz. I like because it's like you blow it. I heard somebody say, there's a famous quote, I don't even know who said it, but like you hit the wrong note. Well, Miles Davis said, there is no wrong note. You hit the wrong note and you hit it again with some meaning, and hit it a few more times. People are like, ooh, then it's jazz, right?
I think it was Dizzy Gillespie who said that.
Right. And so, Miles Davis is famous saying there's no wrong note. Meanwhile, he always had this freaking sour look on his face, like, you're all playing the wrong note, motherfuckers, right? But that's true. Like, I've been soloing whatever, and especially on the Hammond organ, and you do these like big glissandos as part of the Hammond. You go whoop, right up to the note, and you go whoop, and you hit the wrong note. You stop. You like overshoot, and you go whoop, and now you're on the 9. You're like, it was supposed to be a C, now it's a D. Right, and you're like, I meant it to be a 9, and then you start playing 9 chords, and then by the time like the band's looking at you like, what are you doing, dude? We heard you fuck it up, like, and you're like, no, I'm doing it with 9 chords now, So
check this out.
Because then you're a genius. Then you're not an idiot. You're a genius.
Confessions of a Sideman.
That's right. That's right. I can't tell you how many times in a show, like that's my biggest trick. Because do you ever feel that way, like you're playing shows and you're doing your shows and you think they're going to figure out that I'm a fraud because I'm just doing the same trick. Like I got 5 or 6 tricks and I'm doing that trick over and over again, and it works.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a solo. You're like, I'm going to do this little thing, where like I can't quite reach the notes, so my hand goes back. People are like, oh, he's amazing, right? And I'm like, I've done that 4 times already this show. I'm like just messing around.
Yeah.
But
and if you got 4 tricks, that's good.
I got a bunch of tricks. But I'll tell you, every show I ever play, I'm always blowing it. Like I'm playing whatever, and I'll. It's in major key, but I'm playing that minor note, and then like all of a sudden, no, it's going to be a minor thing in that. Ooh, he's gutsy now,
I'm adding color.
Right, that guy's adding a lot of. No, I'm just covering my flub. Like no trumpet player blows a clam. He's like, he plays the wrong note.
Yeah.
You know what? Hit it 5 times in a row, and then you're awesome. Then you're Thelonious Monk.
You got to look like you know what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
And never apologize, and never get. I'm saying this to people: don't ever get a sour look. Don't go. Oops, I blew it.
Yeah.
Because nobody, they see that. They don't hear what you did or what you think you did. I was once playing a show, and I was on a MIDI keyboard, an electronic keyboard, right? And so in MIDI, when you press a note, it sends a code, like play the note. And when you let go of the note, it sends a code, let go of the note, right? Something went wrong. So I pressed the note, and it stayed on. And when I lifted off, it didn't go off. And then I went to the next thing and hit the next chord. So now you got 2 chords on top of each other, and then another. And by the time you figure out what's going on, it's been 5 seconds of 40 notes playing, and you're like, I don't know what I can unplug to make this stop, right? And at the end of the song, I was doing a horn section sound on like Brick House or something. Like, and it was right there. It was like this awful thing. And at the end of the song, I turned to the guys in the band and I went, sorry about that. And they went, sorry about what? And I'm like, about that chord and the second whatever. And they're like, we didn't hear it. Nobody hears your mistake. They see you like fretting, stressing about
That's
it.
right. That's true.
Well, that sounds like there was Taylor Swift's second night at Foxborough Stadium or Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Mass. The first night it like poured, deluged rain, and she played anyway. Who knows what happened to the equipment?
I've seen video of that sitting at a piano, like wiping the water off of it.
And yeah, exactly. She's like, well, the second night she's playing that same piano. And she's doing a tune, and something sounds really wrong. It's like something in the bass notes. And she stops playing. She says, "Do you guys hear that?" She's like taking out her earbuds and stuff, and she's going, "It's making noises that I'm not." And it suddenly does it again. It started the lower notes are like, gang, 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 and she's like, It's like,
she can pull that off. I cannot charm my way out of that. I don't have her legs or her pretty face. I can't.
Yeah, good point.
They'll be like, idiot, your piano's broken, moron. Exactly. You've ruined my moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Paid $800 to get in.
I'm the star.
You suck, Ed. Taylor's
I blame
awesome.
You, all of you.
That's it.
You can just imagine that's the real Taylor Swift. See, we don't know that. Backstage.
That's all coming out. You know there's somebody who's been secretly shooting all of her misbehaving moments, and that's all coming out on YouTube.
Like some prima donna, Tyra Banks type moments. With,
right, except now she's a Now she's a billionaire, so she's got a SWAT team on that person who's like stealing those video clips. Like they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I've got some footage of.
I saw a post today. Okay, so I hate all this crappy politics where everybody's in everybody's face. I hate it, right? But I saw a funny thing today, which was a picture of Taylor Swift looking all sassy, whatever, and the caption. I want to say it was on NBC News website. The caption said, Donald, Taylor can afford to write a check for that $460 million. Oops. I thought that was funny.
I love that.
That's good writing. That's good writing.
Yeah, that is.
Whatever. But so Nick Carter, let's hear it. Save us.
All right. Okay. Well, here we go. So this is called "Standing by the Fire." I figured we'll try this out.
It's a nice theme.
Here we go. Can you hear it all right? Here we go. Why are you just standing by the fire? Why are you just standing by the fire? While the danger is burning brighter. Why are you just standing by the fire? Oh, angry mother says it's gotta stop. Teachers tired of telling children not to fear. The siren sounds in the halls as another baby falls, while politicians choose not to hear. Piety in one hand, shackled in the other. Did they forget heaven lets everybody in? Are we all just monochrome in any choice with a one-way view of love? Why can't the preachers simply say forgiveness always wins? So why are we just standing by the fire? Why are we just standing by the fire? Books burning, smoke is rising higher. Why are we just standing by the fire? Hey, hey, America, will we rise again to do the best we can? Or is this our Bunker Hill? Or can we find the will to fix what's broken and be worth fighting for again? Oh, don't sleep now, my friends. Don't sleep now, my friends. Tell me why we just standing by the fire? Why we just standing by the fire? Deny your danger burning higher. Why we just standing by the fire? Why are we just standing by the fire? Why are we doing nothing about the fire? Can't you see the danger burning brighter? Why are we just standing by the fire? Don't you see the danger burning brighter? Tell me why are we just standing by the fire?
Really great. That was so good.
Well,
All right.
okay. All right.
It's
all right.
you. So I haven't heard that song before, have I? That's the new one for the new record, right?
Yeah, and anyway, but that's good. I'm glad it sits okay. It's not a sweet song. It's a song that it's worrisome, and I wish we had less to worry about than we really do. But there it is. So there it
We
is.
do. It struck me the other day. I mean, so I don't know if you heard my story, but I got invited to the christening of a nuclear submarine the other day.
Oh wow!
Right, which is a big hairy deal, right? So it turns out this guy. I know a guy who knows a guy who happens to be the Assistant Secretary of the Navy. So we get to this place, and it was really amazing to see this. But I realized, it wasn't really just the sub that made me realize that. It was, you think thoughts. Like you go to church and you think thoughts. while you're there, right? And it occurred to me, not because of the submarine per se, right? It occurred to me that how long am I going to live? Another 50 years, another 60 years? I don't know. I'm not going to live, right? I got some number of decades. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's a little. And it just occurred to me, the world's going to be kind of going through a poop show for the next whatever until I'm really old, Well, and you just got to brace yourself for it. Like you go through these periods of like everything's fine, and you go through periods where things are kind of not fine, and we're just starting out on that now.
Yeah, and when you get really old, it's a poop show in a whole different way.
When I was young, I used to say, young guy, I used to feel. I swear to you, I used to feel sorry for old people that they had to observe what the world was like in the 70s. I'm talking about. I was like a young kid or a teenager, and I was like, oh, they got to watch these young kids being all disrespectful, the hippies being disrespectful to the old people, and they got to see all the problems in the world. And now I feel sorry for myself. I'm looking around, I'm going, what is happening? Like what?
What has gone on? Right. Well, no, it is. Yeah. It's well, with some luck, maybe, who knows?
Yeah, luck, exactly. So I got myself in a place where, like, I'm in a good place for fallout here. Like, I've looked at what's the prevailing wind and where's it. So I'm doing okay here. I can stay up here in the mountains in Pennsylvania, and fallout won't be.
Yeah, you're not ground zero. They're not coming for you. Yeah, they're not going to blow up the pool with a bomb.
That's right. If they take out New York, Connecticut, not so good for the fallout.
Boston,
Yeah.
That's right. I used to ask my father. We lived in Maine. I grew up in Caribou, Maine.
Right.
Yeah. And during the Cold War, and we'd have these hide under your desk drills in the elementary school.
I did them. Yep.
I remember them, and that dates me, but it's true. I do remember. And I used to ask my dad, who was a World War II veteran. I used to say, "So, Dad, if this happens, if we get a nuclear war, where are we going to go?" Well, we had a little house in the woods. Dad had a cabin up there.
Right.
And he said, "Well, we're going to go to the lake.
There you go. That's right.
We're going to go wait it out. Whatever."
But you want to hear a crazy story? So my mother grew up in Austria. She was born in 1934. And so, and I'm sorry, she was born in 31, right? So Hitler got into power in Germany right over the hill in, just a few years later. And World War II happened when she was a little kid, whatever. Yeah. And this is a crazy story, but the short version is at the end of World War II, the Germans were running out of people to fight, right? And so my grandfather had gotten out of fighting, and he ran a factory, and he got all the workers at the factory out of fighting. He's like, oh, the factory is designated war effort. They made saws, like for not sauce, not like ketchup, but like for cutting things, saws, right? I told this to somebody once, and they were like, sauce? Your family made sauce like ketchup? And I'm like, no, not like ketchup. So, right. And so, it was a bit of a trip. It wasn't really a war effort factory, but they snuck under the wire and whatever. But one day the Germans are like, we need guys to like get blown up, and we're going to go around to the Austrians. So they went around with the Nazi guards went around at night or the soldiers and banged on the doors, and they're like, wake up, you're coming with us. We're inducting you into the German army, right? Mm-hmm. And so they marched 10,000 guys from the villages around. They marched them at night, so that they would get them all to an induction center to be inducted into the military. And my grandfather knew I'm telling now I'm the medium length of the story, but
that's all right. It's interesting.
My grandfather he was a hunting man, and he knew a bird call of a very sought after bird, like that if you were a hunter, you could catch this bird, and it was amazing to catch this, whatever. And so he made the bird call, and he threw a rock into the bushes. And the German soldiers went into the bushes to bag the bird, right? Mm-hmm. And my grandfather went up a tree, and everybody marched underneath, and he got away. But he couldn't go home, because if he showed up at home, the local Nazi stooge would get you, right? And my family was. This is the strange thing. Like you go to Europe, right? And they say, well, you're American, and so you must be a Trumper. Like everybody in America is a Trumper. And you're like, well, no, you could be from America and not support you can vote for him.
Right.
Everybody in Nazi Germany supported Hitler. My family was adamantly against Hitler.
Oh my goodness.
So you couldn't say that. My grandmother was very outspoken, but you couldn't say it.
Am I on an acid trip here? Or is there something funny with Ed's audio?
Can you hear me now? Any better? Any better?
No.
Okay, I think I'm hallucinating. It
Oh
must be
no.
me.
Okay. I will finish the story. Nick, why don't you do a song? And why don't you do a song if you can hear me?
It seems fixed now. Seems okay now.
Do a song, and then maybe my internet connection will fix itself.
I want to hear this story, by the way.
And then I'll tell the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Okay, David and Will, can you hear this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let me get this started here. Worries make waves across my forehead, and drive-by demons feed my dogs of doubt. And voices start talking up old news of failures I still can't figure out. Well, one thing waves away distraction. It's so close I can breathe it in. I take it from my pocket, flip the lid on the locket, and I see you catch my second wind. Oxygen, oxygen keeps me alive till I'm home again. Hard world gives no rest, leaves me out of breath. Right there in my hand, in a silver heart I see the lifeline in your eyes. You're oxygen to me. On the road I ride between restless and lonely. I wake up in no place to call my own. Another night, another gig takes me further from your kiss, and I feel you there and find the air to carry on. Oxygen keeps me alive till I'm home again. Hard world gives no rest, leaves me out of breath, and right there in my hand, in a silver heart I see the lifeline in your eyes. And you're oxygen to me. House lights coming up, last song is gone from my guitar, and it's almost enough till I go reaching for. Oxygen keeps me alive till I'm home again. Hard world gives no rest, leaves me out of breath. Right there in my hand, in a silver heart I see the lifeline in your eyes. Oxygen keeps me alive till I'm home again. Hard world gives no rest, leaves me out of breath. And right there in my hand, in a silver heart I see the lifeline in your eyes. You're oxygen to me. You're oxygen to me. Oh, you're oxygen to me. You're oxygen to me.
Fantastic.
I like it.
That's got some crazy changes in it.
Yes, that's nice.
You like that? Thank you. Appreciate that.
What's that even doing? Like, what's that? What are those changes? They're like, I can't even hear that change.
Oh, that's cool.
What does it do?
Yeah. Well, the song's in A.
Yeah, right.
So, no, I'm sorry. It's in D minor.
Right.
I mean, D minor, F. I'm not sure. I'm just doing D minor.
Right. Okay. And then it goes where?
And then it kind of moves to a little, kind of a 4 minor. If D minor is your home tone that you're sitting in,
right?
I went I went to G minor.
Right.
So to kind of get that kind of a little bluesy feel.
Right.
Right on to A.
Right.
Then, because I want to jump it, I don't want to stay in this key.
Right. So where do you jump? Where do you go? Right. What is that?
That's E major.
E major. Oh, wow. So it goes to a 2, but then it switches to a major. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Now, well, did it sound agreeable to your ear?
Yeah. It's cool. It's like modulations, if they're well thought through, are very, very cool. And that, like, I can hear a lot of, like in Motown or whatever, it just modulates up and down, whatever. But that's pretty cool. And then it went to a major is very, very cool as well.
It sounded very natural.
Yeah, that's good, Will. I appreciate hearing that too. That's good because I played around with it and played around with I did study when I was a music teacher. I studied music theory all the time. So the music theory comes back every once in a while, comes in handy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like I've got the theory in there somewhere. Like if I have to, it's not at my fingertips, but it's there. Like if somebody says, this, I'm like, hold on, let me think what that means. I know what that means. I know what that is. You
guys, whether we are active students of theory or not,
right?
Because we like what we do and we do it enough to be competent at it,
right?
Be good at it. Yeah. We all of us here, theory, it's in our head. We know.
Well, my ear training trick, right? And I have a problem playing with guitar players a lot because guitar players.
Yeah.
Generally think differently. Like they think in terms of the chords. Like if you ask a guitar player, how does this song go? They'll go, it goes D, and they'll say major minor. That matters to them. They'll go like it's D minor to G minor to D minor to then it goes transposed to E major, right? But my brain doesn't work that way. I do everything in like jazz notation, like 1s and 2s and whatever.
Yeah, that's the sign.
Because I can hear the 1, like I can instantly like. I don't ask even what key it's in.
You know what the root. Yeah.
Right.
You know
if I know the root, like I was like, there's the root, right? And then I go, okay, what's the most likely next chord? Like I can hear the style of this music. We're not playing like Zappa. We're playing like folk music, right? Well, so the next chord's gonna, I don't know, it might be the 4 or it might be the 5, right? And I know we're in D, so I know it's a G or an A, right? But I do that math like with the 1s and 4s and 5s, not with the chord name. So if somebody goes, it goes D to A to, then I have to translate it. I have to be like, that's the 1 to 4 to, because then like all of a sudden it goes to E. Well, what's the E major? Well, what's the next chord? I don't know. It's probably an A or a B or something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so, but I know it's not a F. If it's an E, it's not going to be an F. It's not going to be a C, right? And so it's like I run this probability. And so having the actual chords doesn't help me because I can't use my intuition on the number system that way.
That's what makes you a good sideman. That's because
cheat.
If you ask us to transpose, if you say, no, play it in D sharp now, a guitar player will go, no, sorry, don't do that.
Right, because you have to remember
really
a shape. You have to remember a shape. You have to be like, I have to get from here to here to here. Like, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
And I recently, came to the realization that keyboard players typically think in shapes too, because you're playing a shape on the keyboard to make the chord, right? But that's not how I play. What I do is I go, okay, so I gotta get to that, it goes to the E, right? And so I don't remember if he said major or minor. So I know the E notes are in it, and I know E an octave up is in it. So now I've got, I do this, right? So I go, okay, there's an E and there's an E. And then I go, and then I listen. So I can hit that on the 1, and they're like, oh, that keyboard player knows it because he hit the E note, right? And then I'm like, I don't know, does it have that in it or that or that or that? And then I go, it's that. Even if I hit the wrong one, I can sort of down to it, right? And then I got 2 notes, and then I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's this one or this was, it's that one. And then I can, so I have a beat or 2 to think about what I'm doing.
Poor David Robinson. I mean, this has got to be like this is like of absolutely no interest to a percussionist.
To a drummer, yeah, right.
Oh
It's
no,
like
I
a 4
I
or
don't
5.
know that's
I don't
true.
care.
I welcome it all.
Yeah, it's interesting because my brain runs through a different kind of process. And I remember there's a famous jazz club called Minton's Playhouse in Harlem.
Sounds like a
Somewhere
strip
up in
club.
Harlem. And no, Minton's Playhouse is a famous jazz club. It's the home of bebop music, where bebop music was born,
Jazz, okay.
right? And I got hired to play a gig there with a friend of mine who knew me through the jams or something, but didn't quite know. He knew I had an ear, but he didn't know that I was not a jazz guy, right? I don't know all the standards and all the changes and everything. And so he hires me for this gig, and his guitar player was a super jazz guy, like super snobby, and like he knows every voicing of every chord and can play all the standards in 12 keys, and that guy, right? And so he's looking at me like, you can't just waltz in here on my gig and whatever. He goes, that second chord is a B minor, add 13, add 9, diminished, whatever. I'm like, right? And I go, can you just play it for me, right? And he's like, fine, right? It was like a crazy chord, right? And he's like, he gets the guitar and he like sounds it out like, here are the notes in the chord, you idiot, right? Like, right? He plays the chord, right? And I just went, oh, you mean this? Because I somehow idiot savanted it, like I was like, oh, it's this chord. And he's like, how'd you do that? Like, bastard, right?
That sounds to me.
Faked my way through the show.
And I want to hear the rest of your story.
Oh, so the rest of the story. Okay, so
Yes.
the beginning of the story, right?
If
So,
David and Will don't mind, I'm
oh my God! So it comes around to what you were saying, actually. So they're marching, and my grandfather distracted the German soldiers, and they were marched on gunpoint to be taken into the military to go up and be cannon fodder. And so my grandfather got away, but he couldn't go home. So when he went home, he packed some stuff and he went to his mountain house. He had a hunting house way up in the Alps.
Wow.
And it must have been, my dates are weird with World War II, but it was a year before the finish of the war.
Okay.
And so he had to spend a year in a little hut,
alone.
and I've stayed in the hut. It's a little mountain hunting house, and it's very small. It's maybe 10 feet by 8 feet. That's the entire size of it, and there's a little stove. And he had to light his fires at night because they couldn't see the smoke, and
Right.
he had to hunt for his own food. He was a machinist. He made saws, so he was a machinist. So he made a gun. He made a gun, like a gun that shotgun he could hide under his arm, with a short barrel for hunting birds and whatever. And he had to get his own food and whatever. And my mother, the cover story was she was going to live with relatives far away, but she went and lived with him in the mountain house with no power and no running water for a year.
Wow.
And so when the poop is hitting the fan, you might need a place to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Get a
right.
mountain. Make sure to have one of those tiny houses that are really hip right now. You might want
That's
to get
it.
one of those.
You got to get one of those so that like when the poop hits the fan, you can I'm going to go there and I might
going to
have
my
to
tiny
eat
house.
frogs, I might have to
Right.
but eat bark or whatever you're going to do, but you got to make it work cuz the world could be a strange place,
Very strange.
Supply chain disruption, Amazon, you're like, hello, I can't get to Amazon to order my lettuce,
Yeah. Oh my God! I mean, I couldn't even
spoiled.
get into Facebook. I was like panicked. I've never
Right.
been able to
When
get into
Facebook went down last week, we were like, this is
Yeah.
the most
Oh, I mean, this
terrifying
was-
30 minutes of my life,
This was at 7:25. I couldn't get into Facebook. I was like, "Oh crap! What am I going to do?"
Oh, yeah, no, a couple weeks ago, it went down for a morning. It went down for 3 hours.
Really?
And the whole world, it was like a
Just
worldwide disruption. And
Okay.
the whole world was like, oh my God, I've been hacked. My life
that's
is
right.
over.
There's something wrong with my computer.
It's like, I'll go on Instagram and everything will be okay. And then Instagram is part of Meta, and that went down too. So it was bad.
Wow.
But anyway, so you got to, the rest of our lives is going to be somewhat tumultuous. So you just got to chill out, realize that, is it going to affect you in your house or in your place you are, or look at the pandemic. You couldn't travel. You couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
And, so that affects you. But, whether this thing is happening or whether we're burning nuclear or coal. It doesn't really. You get esoteric about it, but you got to just see. Make sure you got food on the table. Make sure you got some cans and like live. Right. Like I want to be the crazy survivalist in the woods. Like, don't come to my house because I'll be defending my place.
You'll be there standing at the door with a shotgun. Who are you?
Right, exactly. I gotta go get a shotgun because like there's a store. I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere in Pennsylvania. I mean, nowhere. Right? There's a dollar store nearby, but that's it. You know, like that's nothing. But there is. On my way to one of the big waterfalls here, there's all these beautiful waterfalls here. It's like national parkland. There's a giant warehouse store, you know, like a Costco, but it's not a Costco. It's a Tommy gun outlet store.
Tommy Gun?
The company, there's a company, Tommy Gun, right? I guess they made the violin case guns, whatever. And exactly. But I don't have the nerve to go there. I'm scared to go there. Like I'll walk in and they'll be like, what do you want, idiot? You don't know that. You know?
A bunch of guys who are like ex-Marines.
Right. What's with your Connecticut plate, you liberal? You know, I'm like, right? And so, but they have the outlet store, so I gotta go and get my Tommy gun defense gun for the war.
The Tommy gun, man! I haven't heard that expression. It had like a round, cartridge holder.
That was the Tommy gun.
Yeah. Why don't those don't exist anymore? I don't know.
No, they got an outlet store. So you get discounts
here.
Right.
They're all in the Poconos with Ed.
Yeah,
exactly.
Poconos.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the middle of the Delaware National Forest, which is
really?
Pennsylvania's what is it? It's a hunting grounds, hunting forest, game land. That's what they call it, game lands. And so they got my gun jammed. I was about to kill a deer and my gun jammed. So, you go to the Tommy Gun outlet store and you can be back out hunting,
So, Ed, where in Pennsylvania are you really? So
that's where I am, in the middle of nowhere. I'm north, Delaware River, Poconos. I'm at the north end. So if you take 84 from Danbury, and you take 84 out and you get, welcome to Pennsylvania. Like you go through, New York, and then New Jersey for a second, and then that's where I am. Like, welcome to Pennsylvania. That's it.
Pretty country, though.
It's very beautiful up here, and it's always a little colder. It's really cold. It's going down to 13 tonight.
But it is pretty. Ooh, yeah. Well, Darien has they have the Bob's Unfinished Furniture and Gun Shop.
Do they
I don't know
really?
If that's still there. Yeah, it was across the street from Rory's. Wow. It used to be there, and they in the outer area there it was like jammed with unfinished furniture, and
that's
then you
great.
went into the back, and there was Bob with these like all these pistols and
that's
a lot
great.
of antique stuff, and
it's like give me 2 pistols and a shotgun and an unfinished sofa.
Yeah,
I'll finish it off with the shotgun.
The one in the shaker style.
Right.
Wow.
He had like funky stuff, old revolvers and things that looked like they were from the set of Rust, except that they didn't.
Right.
No, I won't make any jokes about that.
No, see, in Austria, where I grew up in Austria partly too when I was a kid. In Austria, you just learn how to shoot. Everybody hunts and whatever in Austria. So
that's part of the culture.
So when you're 13, you get your first gun. You get a gun when you're 13, and you don't get to keep it. Your parents keep it locked up, but you learn how to shoot, and you learn. So I know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go do any mischief with it. That's not my I'm not for it that way.
My dad was an avid outdoorsman, hunter in Maine, and I grew up knowing how to handle firearms.
Right.
And even though this first paragraph of this song is about gun control,
right,
and shooting and the tragedy of shooting in schools, I would never want to be misunderstood. I have absolutely no problem with someone who is law-abiding and respects firearms and likes to go hunt and does it sanely.
Absolutely,
And
it's just that other guy, that one guy. That's the one you're mad at.
I know, crazy.
The guy on the lunatic fringe. Yeah.
It's true. My mother. So I got myself talking about other things that are dangerous if mishandled, right?
Yeah.
So I got
your mother.
My mother. Oh my God, she was dangerous. But I had this giant orange. It was this big and it was orange and it had a gun handle on it and it was a nail gun. And it was for doing framing, right? It's big and it's orange, and it's got a butane cartridge and an electric spark plug. And when you pull the trigger, you push it into the thing, and you pull the trigger, and the butane fires off. It sounds like a gun, and it blasts a 3 1/4 inch nail, glue-coated nail, into a piece of wood, and bang, like 1/1000th of a second, right? Yeah. And so my mother, I'm up on the roof with the gun, like I'm building something on the roof, right? And my mother is downstairs watching CNN. And she goes, come down here right now. And I come down, and I got my gun hanging on my belt. My nail gun, right, hanging on my belt. And she says, you got to see what happened on CNN. It's going to come back around. It was like on a loop, right? And so she made me wait, and it came back around. And there was this guy, and he had the same one I had, like an orange pass load nail gun, right? Yeah. The same gun that I was up shooting in the roof, right? And she's like, this is it. Watch this, right? So he was framing. And he put the gun in, and he shot. And then, like, he started to get a headache, right? And he was like, I got a headache. And after, like, 2 days, he goes to the doctor. He goes to the hospital. He's like, I got this headache that will not go away. And what happened was the nail went into the piece of wood. It hit a knot. It turned around, and he had his mouth open, and it shot into the roof of his mouth and went through his sinuses into his brain. Into his brain. So now they're like, it's literally like here, but like,
oh my God.
Yeah. It just, he didn't even know what happened. Like it ricocheted and went up, and it was like in his brain. And they're like, and he was like, I feel fine. I just have a little headache. And it was like a nail head on the roof of his mouth. Yeah. Can you imagine being the doctor, like open wide, you go look, and you're like, there's a nail in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother's like, you can't use that thing anymore. It'll hurt you. I'm like, well,
you got to be careful.
I'll be careful, you know.
Yeah. No, I can't. After EMS, I saw lots of stuff. It was okay. I helped people. It was good. But I will never use a nail gun. And I will never use a rotary saw. Those are the only two things.
Coming from somebody that drove an ambulance.
Exactly, yeah. I'll drive a fire truck, at 60 miles an hour before I'll use a saw.
Yeah.
And I'll say no more.
Yeah, that's right. But you've seen the worst of the worst. You've seen everything,
You see what goes on behind closed doors, You
don't want to know how sausage is made. You do not want to know.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
How sausage is made.
So sometimes it's something nice. I mean, it's not always bad stuff that goes on behind closed doors, but
oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, well, there's life. There's life. You got to be careful with all that stuff. So get your survival places ready.
Yes, and your nail guns. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm worried about you, Dave, in California.
Yeah, me too. He's so quiet.
How's life in California, Dave Robinson? What's going on now that you're back?
It's relaxing.
Yeah.
It's relaxing.
How's the weather? How's the weather in California?
The weather right now is beautiful. We're supposed to have a little bit of rain Saturday and Sunday, but right now it's the sun is out and it's nice.
Always a good dream.
Are you in LA? Yeah, LA.
Yes.
Living the dream.
South Bay, Nick.
What's that?
South Bay.
South Bay.
Near the beaches.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where are you near Hermosa Beach or that?
Okay, I'm 20 minutes away.
Nice. I was long before I ever went into music. I had a corporate job, and I was responsible for a job overseeing a large printing project. Won't bore you with all the details, but I had to be in Hermosa Beach because the printing place was not far from there. And I was the guest. I was the customer of this printing company. And it was about a weeks long time out there. I thought it was really lovely.
California's nice. It is nice in California. All right, gentlemen. That's it for Jam TV. We're done.
Hey, Ed, what fun. Dave,
great to see you, Nick. I'm so glad that you could make it. And, here's a shout out in case you're sitting in rehab watching this show. Randy Stone has had a bout with a health problem, and he's doing okay. I guess I hope he's doing okay. I haven't heard back from him.
Really?
But he's in rehab in Fairfield, Connecticut, and maybe he's sitting watching Jam TV on his phone, or maybe he's not.
We miss him. Yeah, maybe the doctor recommended you not watch Jam TV.
I love his sense of humor, and
Absolutely.
I would. Well, I suppose depends on how. How would we say? Is Jam TV considered a chemical contraband, or is it good for the soul? I'd go for the second one.
Right. It's an international nuisance. Yes.
And for medicinal purposes.
All right.
Exactly.
Hey, well, guys, great to see everybody.
And of course, Bill Nolan. Hope to see him back really soon. He went and had some surgery on his hand, so he's not playing guitar for a while. But
right.
once we get them back on the bench, or off the bench, we'll do some more good music at GMTV.
Yeah,
Great to see you guys.
Good to see you too, Ed. Thank you.
See you soon. GMTV show 170.